Well, good morning to you, everybody. Mark Sudduth, Hurricane Track here, coming to you live. This is Talking Weather. It's now Tuesday, the 20th of January, 2026. Good to see you. I'm coming to you from Altmar. Got to remember how to say it. Altmar, New York, and at the Tailwater Lodge up here, documenting the lake effect snow. And at least I know that my audio is working properly because I can hear myself as a monitor you find folks on the YouTube chat. Anyway, yeah, I'm up here with Greg Nordstrom. He's not going to join me today. It's interesting. This is a really neat Hilton property, part of their tapestry collection. It's called the Tailwater Lodge. It used to be a school, a lot of snowmobiling this time of year, salmon fishing during the fall, and just like they said, they do like 100 weddings a year. Really neat area, but the room does not have a desk and a chair. I'm not kidding. I guess they don't want you to come up here and work. And that's fine. I'm not complaining at all. So I'm literally sitting in my bed, and that's the headboard behind me. And I think it would be pretty weird if Greg was sitting next to me in the bed. So anyway, it's just me today. But it's good to see everybody. We have a lot to talk about, especially with this upcoming big time, high impact algorithm tripping. I have that segment, rumors of storms. This is definitely it. Big time rumor of storms coming up. So let me share the screen and again say hello to everybody. We got the chat actives, and I will be monitoring that from time to time and see what's on your minds. All right. So again, this is Talking Weather, where we just chit chat about the weather like we're all sitting around at a big table for breakfast or something, and we're able to just talk about things, especially with the chat, see what's on your minds, and so forth. So here's the topics for today. I'm up here for a reason, covering the lake effect snows with Greg. Yesterday and last night, I've got some video to show you, part of our Tech Tuesday. Woo! It is absolutely what we thought it would be. The lake plume is going, and we're going to be out and about covering it starting at 1 p.m. this afternoon until dark. So get ready for that. I'll discuss that more as we go forward. Yeah, we had that Aurora last night, and I think it was a disappointment overall. A lot of hype about it, and we were, I think, ideally placed up here in New York, practically near Canada, and we had clear skies, but we couldn't see anything. Um, there were some Aurora visible, obviously, but I think it was a disappointment overall. And then, yeah, we're going to talk about the high impact winter storm coming up, and with it, bitter, long duration cold, very dangerous cold coming in. And as we address this, especially the storm, the power outages that could be coming for millions of people, this is one of those times that if we were talking hurricane season, we would be sounding the alarms for a category 4 or 5 hurricane headed towards a population area, right? So this is the winter version of that. It really is. It isn't happening yet. It is still only in the model world, but I think the synoptics do and the pattern do both of those together. Does those two things show us that we're going to have a very big winter storm, and then that bitter cold is going to be a huge problem after we wrap that up. All right. So again, I'm away from home. I'm away from my home office. If you've tuned into this show before, I have my own map that I do where I show you the national high and low temperatures. The air is mighty dry up here, and maybe I'm dehydrated. Anyway, I'm fine. I was up late last night too, so I'm a little groggy. But I like to show you the national high and low temperatures. And when I'm at my home office, I'm able to dig down and show you some of the geography of the area. But I'm on an older laptop and I don't want it to crash on me, so I'm doing a little truncated version of things. Nevertheless, national high temperature yesterday, Woodland Hills, California, and their temperature was 84. So not very warm. I mean, that's not bad, but 84, we can do better. And then minus 29 way up there in Tower, Minnesota. And like I said, when I do the show from the home office, I pull up the Google Maps and we do the street view. Yeah, the dry air is killing me. And I show you some of these places in person, so to speak, through the miracle of virtual reality on the Google Street View. And we learn about geography and some of the reasons why these places are the warmest or the coldest for the day, stuff like that. Anyway, Woodland Hills, California. Anybody ever been there? Anybody from there? Do you know somebody that lives there? And how about up there in Tower, Minnesota? You have my sympathies. Minus 27. It's about, I'm sorry, minus 29. It's about 12 here above zero. In Alkmaar, New York, I'll take that over minus 29. Hey, the heater finally turned off. Maybe you can hear me better. All right. So here's the lower 48 weather map. And let me move my toolbar around here as best I can. And let me get my telestrator up and running. See if I can do this smoothly today. There we are. All right. So generally speaking, let's scroll this up just a hair so we get a better view. Right now, anyway, folks, the weather pattern, not too shabby. Cold in the east, we have the troughiness, little pieces of energy that rotate through the lakes region, and that's what's giving us the lake effect snows off of Erie and Ontario. Winter storm warnings here in western New York, as you would imagine, related to that. And these are all of your extreme cold or bitter cold. What is it? Let me look at the legend. Cold weather advisories. And then you have a few winter weather advisories through here, some of that in southeastern Montana. Very stagnant pattern out west, and this is truly killing the ski resort season in Colorado and Utah. I won't say killing it, that's a little hyperbolic, but you need some storminess. We need upper level lows coming in this way and then troughs diving in from this way to bring some moisture back to especially the Four Corners region. California, the Golden State, well, you're doing fine. You're now the green state because it rained and snowed so much earlier in the winter. You're still looking really good. But all of this through here, folks, is just very stagnant air, especially down in any valleys where the air can kind of sit there and then you have warm air above it. And you just don't get much mixing overall. There's no wind coming through, and you have this fog in the Central Valley of California. So yeah, pretty much a huge ridge sitting out here with a trough pattern over the east. Very cold even down into Florida. And by the way, speaking of Florida, CJ not joining us today either. He is on his way up to Tallahassee here for some important meetings that he has in another part of his life that he does in politics. CJ for president one day, if only. I would. He's only got a few more years to go, then he could officially do it. So just look out. You never know. All right. So that's a look at the overall snapshot of the lower 48. I do want to zoom in here since I am in the Lakes region and show you Western New York. This is National Weather Service out of Buffalo. And we look over here at the Niagara Falls, Buffalo area. A balmy 10 degrees. Could be worse. Very windy, though. 29 gusting to 46 coming off of Lake Erie. And the wind chill is minus 12. Winter storm warning with potential for snow showers. And of course, the blowing snow out there. And it's going to stay generally snowy for the next few days. There's going to be another piece of energy coming through tomorrow that will shut off the lake snows, but wring out more moisture as the energy swings through. And so you're going to get more snow. Over where I am in Alkmaar, which is between Syracuse here and Watertown, it's closer to Watertown than Syracuse, I do believe. Beautiful area, ski country up here, backcountry skiing. So we're down to 11. It's dropped a little bit. Heavy snow potentially in our area. Let me just click up a little further, closer to Watertown, and you can see that getting represented. So yes, heavy snow in areas of blowing snow because of that snow band, which I can show you on the radar. There it is, and it is just to my north. Alkmaar is about right here, roughly. Actually, it's just east, or yeah, east of the interstate, I-81 over here. And that band is just north. It's fully set up, elongated across Lake Ontario. That water is deep. It's warmer, still in the 30s and whatever, 40s. But the whole setup for it that I've learned a lot about from Greg is, by the way, he teaches this stuff over at Mississippi State University. This thing's all set up and ready to go. It's going to dump feet of snow across parts of the Tug Hill region, and we are going to go show you live starting early this afternoon. I'll tell you more about that before we go. So let me drop back to full screen for a moment and jump on the chat real quick and say hi to everybody. Javier, you okay, buddy, down there in Miami? It's the way it goes, right? You stole our star quarterback from Duke. That's next year, whatever. And so karma, baby, karma. Anyway, good to see everybody. Our usual folks that are tuning in. Lovely to see you on here. You got any questions for me? Please put them in there, and I will certainly look at it when I get a moment here as we roll forward. But let's keep moving and show you what we got here. Let's just kill some of these tabs to make some room. So again, part of our bullet points, the Aurora disappointment. So these are all shots that either Paige, so you have Paige and Bryce, or Bryce and Paige, however you want to look at it, the awesome duo couple storm chasers. And we had this coronal mass ejection and all that energy, all those protons hitting the Earth's magnetosphere and all that magnetic field and the sphere. Had this amazing chance of insane auroras last night. For parts of Europe, I believe it was pretty good. I mean, really good. And then over here in North America, not so much. But these are some shots here from Paige herself. She was in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. So these phones do a really good job of bringing in those photons and letting them, I believe that's, is it photons or protons? I need Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let me just text him. They bring the particles of light, we'll just call it that, and they hit your phone's sensor and they accumulate, and digitally they get stored, and they can mount up over a couple of seconds. And if it's a DSLR, you can leave that shutter open for 5 minutes if you want to. Of course, there you get star trails, but you get these amazing pictures from smartphones because the light accumulates on the sensor, and you don't do that in your eyes, but more than nanoseconds, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't open your eyes and the light accumulates, and then everything, you see the Milky Way, and gradually everything just starts piling up in terms of all of those photons, right? I think that's the right word. That's just my explanation from what I understand of it. That's why you see beautiful pictures from people's iPhones and Samsung devices. I think Samsung's actually better at this anyway. And so that's why you're able to enjoy some astrophotography from your smart device. So Paige retweeted a few people who also retweeted some things or reposted images. Everybody knows max velocity. And this is Illinois, I believe. Now, these are impressive, but it wasn't the jaw-dropping event that we thought it would be. And Paige finally gave up and said, no, thanks. I'll just watch the Aurora webcams tonight. 7 degrees where she was, she and Bryce. But State College, Pennsylvania, again, not a no-show, but we expected that it would be a lot better than this. And again, if you walk outside down in these latitudes and you open your eyes and you look and that's what you see, that's not what you're going to see. You might see just a little faint red. It's that iPhone or your Samsung or your DSLR that accumulates those light particles. It's a time exposure. Even if it's 2 or 3 seconds, you get to see more than the naked eye. That reminds me, and I wonder, this would be a great question for Dr. Tyson. I mention him a lot, fan of his, especially his social media influence at educating people. Owls and your nocturnal creatures, some of them have these gigantic eyes, and at night they can see incredibly well. Do they see the aurora like they know what they're looking at? One owl sitting next to another one. Hey, Bob, look at that. But seriously, do they see the aurora like this with the naked owl eye or any other nocturnal creature? I can't think of any that come to mind off the top of my head. I think of a nighttime, creature, an owl. So just stuff Mark thinks about, right? There you go. So appreciate Paige sharing these on her Twitter so that I can show you guys. It was a little disappointing and didn't live up to the hype. All right. So again, I'm up here in the Lakes region with Greg. Learned a lot from him about equilibrium and the lake index, and all of these things related to how you get these lake effect snows. And I thought it was interesting that my hometown, Wilmington, the National Weather Service down there, tweeted out this yesterday for those interested. It's like, hey, I'm interested. That's me. Here's the latest Great Lakes ice coverage as of January 18th, direct from NOAA's Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory, included previous 2 years for comparison if you want to observe additional historical data. There it is. So these are your charts and graphs. And yes, the lake's still unfrozen overall, but Lake Erie is quickly getting there to being frozen. And this is really important because when the lakes stay open, especially Ontario, because the way Ontario is set up, it's wider, it's deeper, it's longer. I don't know, it's not longer just eyeballing it than Lake Erie, but the west side of Lake Erie freezes up quicker. Lake Erie is shallower, right? And that helps to get that moisture going, that plume that I just showed you. And so the lake ice is important in terms of how the lake machine can function. Speaking of that, later today, again, we are sitting right up here. I'm going to highlight this for you. Let's grab the old telestrator again. Greg and I are going to be focusing on the Tug Hill region. This is the Buffalo area and Niagara Falls down here. And if we put the HRRR into motion, the high resolution rapid refresh model, yep, that lake band, bingo, game, set, match, right where we are, where we're going to be. We're going to show you this live later today. The HRRR model really cranking that fire hose for the next several hours. Look at that. It even connects it for a little while, all the way off the lake, across New York, into Vermont, New Hampshire, and then out into the ocean, the Gulf of Maine. Interesting. It'd be pretty cool to see if that actually manifests. But yeah, that plume also oscillates north and south by just a few degrees on the compass. Then, as we get into tomorrow, there comes that other piece of energy. Greg and I will be on the road by this time, and we'll be traveling south because we got to get ready for giant winter storm of the ages. It is coming, and we're going to address that next on our show here, Talking Weather. Before we do that, let's jump over and see how you guys are doing, what you might be talking about. Let me just backtrack a little bit. Some people are sobbing. All right, what are you sobbing about? The Miami game, maybe? I don't know. Could be your cold weather, Catherine. I missed something, obviously. Let's see. Interception at the end of the game killed your chances. That's right, Javier. You got it, brother. At least they were playing down there in your neck of the woods, the Orange Bowl. It's not just the Great Lakes that can do lake effect snow, although they are most dramatic. Even the Finger Lakes, yep, are showing some lake effect snow clouds on satellite. Scott, that's a good point. And let's just bring that up. I'll share the old screen again, and we'll jump to satellite imagery, and we'll look at the Atlantic, and that'll give us this. And let's do the true color. And it's hard to see that right in here, I don't have a high res available to me at the moment, but the Finger Lakes up here, just enough moisture and very cold air aloft is able to whip up some lake effect bands from the Finger Lakes. So appreciate you noticing and pointing that out. All right. Fuzzy Garfunkel. Hi, Mark. Great show. The snowfall rate, how much sticks? The snowfall rate and how much sticks is amazing to see. Totally agreed. Oh, Catherine, sobbing about the clouds obscuring my auroral viewing chances. Yes, the auroral disappointment. So it wasn't just the lack of the show in North America. Some parts of the world, of the Northern Hemisphere, got shut out by those stupid clouds. All right, let's do it. Let's jump into the high impact winter storm talk. Or also, as I call it, I heard it through the algorithm. I guarantee you the weather algorithm, absolutely in overdrive lately. Lots and lots of people talking about this storm that is coming, apparently. And I think it's amazing that we are at the point in human evolution where we can see these things, in quotes there, both from the computer model side and just general intuition and experience from meteorologists and other weather weenies that know, like amateur meteorologists. And by the way, speaking of that, just a little side thing, something else to ponder. So, with the Aurora and people that take pictures of the moon and astrophotography, that's included, of course. We call those people, and it's very widely accepted, amateur astronomers. You see that all the time. This photo of comet so and so from amateur astronomer Jack Delaquat, whatever, makes the rounds on the internet. This amazing photo of the eclipse from amateur astronomer Jane Smith, right? It absolutely is a thing. And then you have your degreed professional astronomers, which even though Neil deGrasse Tyson is an astrophysicist, I guess he could be considered an astronomer too. I don't know. But you think about famous astronomers, somebody that might have gone to college, maybe they are master's, PhD, and they work at Palomar Observatory or Keck or wherever, the radio astronomers, that kind of thing. Why don't we have amateur meteorologists? Seriously. And that would be accepted. Degreed meteorologists get so upset when armchair weather geek amateur meteorologists try to explain and forecast the weather. Isn't that an interesting sort of split there? You have amateur astronomers, and that's fine. But if you're an amateur meteorologist, a lot of people get upset with you. Isn't that interesting? I just thought I'd point that out. Again, more stuff that Mark ruminates over in his brain here. So here we are, the algorithm tripped, amateur meteorologist, professional, and everything in between, posting all sorts of stuff. We'll start off with a very wide and trusted source here of Ben Knoll, obviously a trusted degreed meteorologist. And he's right up in the New York area from where he gets that's his roots, the Hudson Valley. So the weather has influenced him from childhood all the way to where he is now, a very, very trusted source. I mean, there's just no other way around it. So what's he saying? He's saying what we've all been seeing the last day or so. On Sunday morning, snow and ice is forecast to stretch 2,000 miles from the southwest to the east coast. And again, these numbers are not meant to be hyperbolic. Sometimes it really is important to understand the gravity of an impactful situation. And in this case, the weather. Around 160 million people are forecast to experience wintry precipitation simultaneously. So that's almost half of the US population. Here's a sampling of possible precipitation types in some cities early Sunday. Sedona, Arizona, snow. Dallas, freezing rain. That's going to be horrible. Little Rock, sleet. Louisville, snow. Atlanta, freezing rain. And I do the thumbs down because you think there's going to be airport problems. We're talking massive disruption, huge problems, not just for the airport terminals, but our trucking terminals, our trucking routes. This really will be a big deal. Charlotte, North Carolina, snow. Raleigh, snow. Virginia Beach, snow. As it stands now, or whenever he posted this, based on latest guidance. Now, to be very clear, neither me nor Ben nor anybody out there on any television network or social media site or both knows exactly what's going to happen. And I think that's obvious. We understand that. We can all agree that this is all still very much in the numerical model world, and we're not ready to put down definitive, deterministic sleet, freezing rain, snowfall forecasts. A hint of what might happen, I think, is acceptable. But again, I don't want to be the gatekeeper here. Who are you to tell people what's acceptable? So looking at the possibilities, I do believe is important, and that does have a place. And here's a great example of why, again, I would agree with this. And again, I'm just me, and whether I agree with it or not really doesn't matter. But I want you to think about it and understand it in this context. You go to the doctor to get a checkup, your annual checkup. You might have put on a few pounds. You're not eating really well. Some of your blood diagnostics and your urine sample says, you got a few markers here that are not really positive. So the doctor comes in and he or she can do one of two things. Well, Fred, You've put on 12 pounds since I've seen you last. You got this and that and the other indicating, maybe your blood pressure's up. Yeah, you got some negatives in your blood work. And don't worry about it. I think you're going to do just fine. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to hype things up. Diet, exercise, have a good day. That's 360 bucks for your visit. That's not really serving you very well. If he sits down, he or she, and says, "Hey, Fred, all these things look a little, on the alarming side to some extent. Here's what I suggest." And then you do these things and these things and these things. And then he says, and if you don't, and you ask him what could be the possible outcome, well, stroke, heart disease, liver failure, pancreatic cancer, whatever. You understand? And yes, some people dread that, but you don't necessarily get angry with the doctor. Why did you tell me all of these possible terrible things that could happen if I don't take care of myself? I know for me, I have gone through a couple of cycles of dealing with overweight, losing weight, overweight. Now I'm definitely back on the downtrend, doing much better. And I appreciate my doctor telling me, look, you better straighten things out, or you're not going to be around to see, your daughter's weddings. That's important. That's not hype. That's not fear mongering for the sake of fear mongering. Those are the facts. So knowing those possibilities motivated me. Recently, I've lost 25 pounds in like 2 months. Absolutely. This is not about me, though. I'm going somewhere with this. So these data points that are coming out this early are that warning shot of what happens when everything goes to the toilet. And that is a lot of people that could be impacted by this kind of weather. And this, of course, is the snow chances, and you're going to see much more of this coming out. And I do believe that it is warranted to at least discuss the possibilities of worst case scenarios, just like we do with our health, right? So all the key messages, that's all coming out. This is going to be very changeable and very dynamic. Every model cycle, things are going to change. That's just the way it is. Every 6 hours we get these new models, and you got all kinds of globals and regional and the AI stuff. So right now we just need to pay close attention and be ready to react and take the action needed, because this has the potential to be a really big problem. Just like if you let your bad health choices go unchecked, you're going to have some big problems. Same thing, just different time span, right? Because this is happening this weekend. All right. Confidence is growing. This is Tim Buckley in a high impact event. Snow and sleet, likely for the Piedmont area, then freezing rain for now. But that could change. And I want you to understand that the freezing rain issue is substantial. That is absolutely the worst. You get major power outages. It's going to be very cold. Yikes. So James Pettis, also well respected, great map maker as well, with some of his graphics on his site. And he shares good stuff, gets people fired up in a very positive way. I really like it. So yeah, some of the snow maps, there you go. And again, this does illustrate the potential. All right. And so, yeah, we got to really pay attention to this over the next few days. And again, it's not just the snow regions, the potential. Let me get my weather.gov map up. Just want to kind of illustrate this for you. You think about the areas that could get hammered here. And does the telestrator just work? I think it does. A large swath of the country through here getting socked in with potential ice and sleet and whatnot. All your interstate systems that run through here. I'm telling you, folks, this could be a really disruptive major event. All your airport hubs that are going to be affected potentially the weekend into early next week. And then behind it, and this is what I'm really worried about, we do get some very, very cold temperatures coming. So let me show you what it looks like on a couple of the deterministic models real quick as we move along here toward Tech Tuesday. So this is the GFS 6Z run, meaning it was initialized at 6 Zulu time. So the first of our systems in the short term come through the Lakes region here. Again, Greg and I will be covering some of that today and tomorrow. That pushes through, and then the deep Arctic air slides down 950 millibars. Is that what that says? Yeah, there's 953, 950. So a gigantic chunk of Arctic air, massive in its total size and scope, finally starts to push down. Then on the northern part of that, this is starting Friday afternoon, it starts to break out and it becomes problematic very quick. Our friends in Texas, I got a bunch of our supporters and family, our hurricane track family there. Jeff and company, man, this is not looking good. And then it spreads east. You've got your dividing line between the snow and the rain is going to be that frozen and mixed precip. And this is going to be a very precarious situation. I-20 runs through there. I-10 to the south should be okay. Your north-south interstate systems, 59, 75, I can go on and on, 35 in Texas. Yikes. This is really, really going to be impactful. And then look at that high, 1043 millibars, really anchoring the cold. 1040s there, Eastern Tennessee, 1046 if my eyes serve me in the Tri-Cities area. Ladies and gentlemen, that is bitter cold that's going to be setting in behind this. And the Euro, also the 6Z run, a very similar scenario. And in terms of where it all ends up, the exact placement of everything, it matters, but it doesn't matter yet. We just know that this looks like it's going to happen. But exactly where, exactly who, and exactly how much, no. The science just isn't there yet in numerical weather prediction to give us high confidence this many days out. But you can bet this is going to be one that people talk about for many years to come. And then behind it, and this is what I'm very worried about, cold, cold, cold. So this is from Gerald, and I thought this was very relevant to discuss. As big as this storm could be, he says, it's what's after that will potentially be an even bigger deal. I can confidently say I've never seen a model output temperature this cold, this far south at 7 days out. I don't expect this to verify, but either way, brutal cold will set in. And if people are without power in this region or even wherever, we're talking some very, very dangerous situations for people. Wilmington on this particular run of the model. And this is, which model are we looking at here? This is 100. Oh, it's the GFS. Duh, it's right there. 8 degrees at 6 feet above the ground in Wilmington, North Carolina. And that is a high temperature at 18Z, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously that's overdoing it, but it shows you the potential here. Like I said, go back to your health concerns thing. If you let this go, the potential could be very substantial. So yes, this shows the potential of this air mass, especially if there's snow cover, because that helps to radiate the heat back out. And the snowpack really helps that. Now, if we have ice storm problems, and we're going to, this could make things really bad. People are going to have to go to shelters. This is something very serious. It is a high impact storm getting ready to set up. All right. All right. So before I let you go, we're going to do Tech Tuesday. Before we do that, let me at least jump on the chat here and say hello to everybody. Hey, just want to thank you. Right now, the biggest live audience we've had since we started the show back on December 1st. Really appreciate that. It's great. It's not for my ego. It's just like talking to you folks. It's really super awesome. 80 concurrent viewers right as I'm looking at it. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, it is called Winter Rusty. Absolutely. But in winter, you can have very high impact events because so far this winter, and I don't want to start an argument with you, but so far this winter, things have been pretty mundane. And so now comes along this major storm. And again, back to my health analogy, and I don't want to start losing people because, oh, there he goes again, but hear me out. So you're just going along and you're an adult and you're eating and you're doing this and that. That's just called being an adult until it catches up with you. And then you have metabolic disease or a stroke or whatever. Those parallels, I'm just trying to get people to understand how all of this is. Of course, it's winter. Of course, we're supposed to have winter storms, but it has been a while. It has been very mundane the last few weeks, generally speaking. And this looks like it is going to be high impact. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate you chiming in. That is just my take on it. All right. All right. So yeah, the deep cold setting in after the ice and snow is a real problem in the South, going to be something we're going to have to watch very, very closely. What is Rayford and Fayetteville looking like for this weekend? A lot of snow, says Anthony. That is a very good question. So let me help you guys with something real quick. Then we're going to jump into the Tech Tuesday. A real easy way to figure all of this out on your own. And I do want to empower you to look up information for yourselves that's easy. Not a lot of homework, but I'm going to give you some secrets to this. So you were asking about Fayetteville, North Carolina. So you go to weather.gov, you put in Fayetteville, and you can just start typing it, and it'll start to populate. And oh, there it is, Fayetteville. You click on here, and you go to the home page, the landing page, and this is from the National Weather Service, Raleigh. That is your WFO. The secret to all of this, all of your answers lie right here. Forecast discussion. Let's grab ye old annotator, and I can show you right there, Anthony, and anybody else. Click on that bad boy, and you have the answers to your questions laid out in a very easy to understand format. And the red oval is still there. I got to get rid of that. Go away. Thank you. So they have reformatted it so that you have what has changed. I'll try to highlight it for you. Key messages, 1, 2, and 3, and then it's all written out in fairly easy, I'd say very easy to understand, plain English, based on the writings of people. They wrote this, they authored this, that live in your area. So it's right there, and you can read it, and you learn a lot as well. The models get talked about, the synoptic overview, and you can look some of this stuff up on Google or chat or whatever, and you have key messages all written out. And then just for your local point and click, it's also right there for you. But remember, Anthony and anybody else, all of this is going to change every time a new model set is run, and that data gets ingested. So just as a quick snapshot, it looks like snow likely on Saturday. Snow likely mainly after 1, a high of 38. Saturday night, snow likely before 1 a.m., then snow and freezing rain. Yuck. So I'm glad you asked. You could have some snow, but it could also be freezing rain. So this is what I'm showing you in terms of the tools that you can use to try to help stay up with these situations in a very straightforward manner. And everybody pays for it through their taxes. It's the biggest crowd-funded weather that we've got. So enjoy it and take advantage of it. All right. It is time for Tech Tuesday. And with that, I do want to show you something. Let me grab my folder down here. Well, the folder didn't work. That's really disappointing. Let me just try again and see if it'll put them in there. Nope. So my Windows is being a real pain in the butt. So here's what I'll do. I'll just show you off my desktop. I don't care if you see it. I don't have anything to hide. This is some tech that we've used from our cams. I want to show you this. We have a live cam. The battery has finally died. It's a 30-hour camera, and it ran its 30 hours. But look at that. That is a snow squall. That is yesterday over in Cheektowaga. And I'm going to reverse it. I guess I will. Rewind it. That's about 10 minutes apart. Pretty remarkable stuff. This is what our live cam shows. Our friend Bill and Cassie, they let us put the camera on their tree. It's literally on their tree, and it ran for a good 30 hours as it was designed. Nothing happened. It ran out of batteries. It's only supposed to go 30 hours. But that is pretty cool. Next, I'm going to show you, and this is part of the Tech Tuesday here, a shot from our vehicle. So this is last night. Greg and I, are you seeing this? Yeah, I'm making sure you're seeing it. Greg and I went out last night up I-81, and this is what we experienced. So let me just back it up a few seconds here. Incredible snow rates. We were pretty much the only people out there. Looked like something out of The Shining, right? You can see Jack Nicholson walking along with that axe, frozen. That's I-81 south, and then look how quickly you leave the snow band. This is real time. It's not sped up at all. Snowing like crazy, and then just like that, it turns off within a matter of seconds. That is the snow gradient. That is how narrow these bands can be. and boom, you go into absolute clear skies just a few seconds later. So the tech that I want to show you, and I don't mind at all revealing this to you. Why is, I guess, my pillow or whatever, if you missed it earlier, I'm doing this from the bed because there's no desk and chair in my room. I want to show you the tech that I use because I think it's cool. It's everybody knows about GoPro, but it's how we do it. It's mounted on the hood of our vehicle with one of those little 3M receivers that the GoPro slides into, this little gadget here. So it's from a company called Suptig, Suptig, or maybe that's just the brand name, whatever. And this is a battery pack that will plug into the GoPro, because GoPros are only going to run for about an hour or so when they're cold, maybe even less. So this gives us about 8 hours of runtime. And then there is a 1 terabyte chip sitting in here. Actually, this is 512, and that'll record for a couple of days. And that's how we do shots like that. So let me just show you again, how we do that, because the windshield shots are atrocious. That's the GoPro mounted on the hood of our Ford F-150 rental, and you really do get some neat shots from it. Yes, it gets caked over, and sometimes you got to get out and wipe the snow off, but that's how we do it. So I thought I'd show you that for today's Tech Tuesday. Other storm chasers, or if you're ever on a trip and you just want to record many, many hours, that's how you do it. These are available on Amazon. No, there's no affiliate links or anything like that. I just like telling you this stuff. And it is a 7,800 milliamp hour battery pack. Plugs right into the GoPro. It's all sealed. It can rain and hail and storm and do whatever. Snow. It can go probably even underwater. Well, of course it does because it rains on it. But yeah, that was my Tech Tuesday for today. All right, let me jump back over to the screen share and our, let's exit that sucker, title card so I can get ready to exit the show and say goodbye to everybody. So I love the interaction between you folks and Scott, CP1. Local discussion is the first place I look. I like all the different people that know they think about the northern trend. You got it. That's right. You know what to look for. Scott also saying, I remember ice storms in Atlanta where the power was out for 4 days. That's going to be a really big issue here. Everybody needs to be preparing for this. That could be in the path. And again, pretty much half the country. And I'm going to be impacted. So my plans to wrap things up for today's show at about 1 o'clock this afternoon, Greg and I will be out and we're going to show you those lake bands, or the one here anyway off of Ontario, for the next several hours until dark. So tune in live on YouTube. And of course, that being said, you got to subscribe to the channel. Please do. And turn your notification bell on. And when we're live, you'll get an email. I guess that's how it works, right? At least I do when I'm subscribed to somebody. And then we'll cover that. And then tomorrow, we'll be rounding up our 2 cameras that we put out. Oh, and by the way, our Hurricane Track Insider folks, we do have a new camera at Adams, New York, right there in the beautiful, quaint downtown area, right along that little stream or creek, whatever it is. Heck of a shot. Be sure to log in and check that out on the back end on the dashboard, and it might be on the map. Anyway, tomorrow we'll round up our cams. We brought 2 of them for this event. And then we're going to start heading south, and I got to start getting ready for this next big storm myself, how to cover it, family preparations. My son, one of them, I got lots of kids. He lives in Cary, North Carolina. They're going to get walloped. I got another son and his wife and son that live in Clayton. I'm in Wilmington. I've got a future son-in-law that lives in Greenville. Yeah, I got friends that live in Columbia. Scott, lots of folks, all the people on the chat here. We're going to be really in for a rough time of it, and we're going to cover it to the best of our ability. Lots of online digital weather coverage. I appreciate you giving me a part of your day to hear my thoughts on it, and for us to kind of chat about it at least a little bit interactively here through the YouTube chat. All right. Again, I am Mark Sudduth. If you haven't seen me before, that's me coming to you from Alkmaar, New York. I appreciate you watching. This has been Talking Weather. I'll see you again from right here in the bed tomorrow, and we'll do it all again. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later today when Greg and I are out on the road.